So, time is of an essence now. It's 4 a.m. here. Oh, sorry, 4 p.m. in my time. And Ceil, in your time?
And it's 9 a.m. in Texas.
9 a.m. in Texas, yeah. So, welcome, Ceil. And I had a lot of more people signed up, but they are obviously busy with something else. But having said that, Ceil, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I want to see who else is in the car that's listening. Since it's so personal. What's your daughter's name?
Sorry.
It's
Yeah,
not her daughter. It's not her
Oh,
daughter.
okay.
No,
I'm
it's not my
sorry.
daughter. It's my friend,
Oh, what's your friend's name?
Phoebe.
Pronounce it for me,
Phoebe.
Inger.
Phoebe.
Phoebe?
Yes.
Okay. So hello, Lena, and hello, Phoebe. It looks like it's going to be a small group, but I'm so happy you're here. So my name is Ceil, like the singer or like the animal in the zoo, okay? And I'm honored to be able to share with you guys some things around the money area and hopefully some tools that you can take forward and improve that area. So thank you so much for being on time.
Thank you, Ceil. And could you introduce yourself also?
I'm also I've been using these tools since 1999, and I left my corporate job after 9 years, and because I fell in love with what I was learning, and I started full-time in 2004 doing what I do now, which is coaching and teaching others how to be the best version of themselves. I actually ended up being the mindset coach for Blair Singer, the mindset coach for Robert Kiyosaki, and I work with Kim Kiyosaki and a lot of other people of all walks of life, entrepreneurs, people who are in corporate, moms, just anybody that wants to improve and be better and get better results, basically get what you want. So I know the tools work. That's why I gave up my 19-year career to do what I'm doing now. So now I own the company and I'm a business owner myself. And I'm looking forward to being with you guys for the next 30 minutes.
Thank you, Ceil. And Lena, you know me before, so I don't need to introduce myself. But having said this, I am responsible for this group where this is to be streamed in. Unfortunately, for technical reasons, I couldn't stream it live. But I'm also really used to being with Ceil because I've gone through her trainings. Also, something that she calls the financial profile. That's a funny thing. It's not so easy to do it, actually. But having said that, Ceil, we have some questions I would love to ask you.
Okay, good. She picked some really good questions, which will give me a chance to just dive in and give y'all some tools. And then we're going to let you both ask questions or anything you want to know. And I'm going to do my best to answer those. Okay.
Thank you, Ceil. So first of all, I have 4 questions with regards to mindset and beliefs around money. The first one, how do you help clients shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset when it comes to money?
So the first step that I do in this area is if you've got a scarcity mindset, because I grew up with a scarcity mindset, I still have trouble sometimes with my scarcity thoughts. So the first thing to do when you want to shift out of being thinking scarcity thoughts is look and see, what is my mindset? What are my thoughts about this? What are my thoughts about making more money? Maybe your thoughts are, oh my gosh, I'll have to work twice as hard. Well, that's not a mindset that's going to serve you very well, right? Or maybe you're mindset is, you know, money, let me see, one of my mindsets, because, you know, my father was a farmer and worked 3 jobs, okay? 6 days a week. He did keep Sunday, you know, he did not work on Sunday. So, but he worked 3 jobs. And so my mindset was either, you're probably going to laugh. I literally grew up thinking that when you're born, you're either born in a family with money, you either have money or you don't. And because I didn't understand that, because I knew my dad worked 3 jobs and worked like, you know, he was up at 6 a.m. driving a bus. He farmed 80 acres of land. Then he worked at the lumber company in town. So he was always running. So I knew that working hard did not make you have any more money. And so I had these mindsets that were scarcity, basically. So I knew that I wasn't born in a family of money. So I just thought that was the way it was. So I continued to think on those patterns. So that's the first thing. Identify what your mindset is around money, about having more. He used to say, you think money grows on trees. Well, I didn't think money grew on trees, but that was repeatedly said. Or he would say, money is burning a hole in your pocket. And that's terrible, because that meant that I just spent it as soon as I got it, which I did. So I can still hear his voice in my head when I'm in the money area, but then I recognize it like, oh, those were his viewpoints, not mine. So that's the first thing. Inspect your mindset and see where does it come from? You know, when I taught my first course here, my mentor and the owner of the technology said, go over there today and ask every student in your class, what was their parents' mindset around money? And I did that, and it was very, very interesting what came up. But each student realized that, I'm still kind of stuck in the way my parents think. So that's my answer to the first question. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Ceil. Number 2, what are the most common limiting beliefs you see around money, and how do you help people overcome them?
Well, what was the most common belief around money?
Limiting beliefs.
A real common one is, money is the root of all evil. That I see that, and a lot of people have a lot of fear that they will change if they become wealthy or if they become rich. And a lot of people have a lot of fear that they will go off and do something that will ruin their reputation. So, and if you look at the sports stars, if you look at some of the movie stars, if you look at some of the people who are, you know, actors and actresses, and then the musicians of all walks of life, if you look at those who have really made it to the top, a lot of them will start to have a lot of success. And then, you know, in the money area and all areas, and then a lot of times they go off and they do things that is naughty that they shouldn't have done. So, but that money is the root of all evil. That's a pretty common one. And then honestly, the thing that I do, one of the first processes that I use is what we call the clean slate process. And Inger has this process, you guys, because she took a course with us. But I didn't tell you guys that I'm a co-author of my first book. And so in that book is that process to use to basically clean your thoughts, clean your slate of your thoughts around money and being okay to increase your wealth. So those are the first 2 things that I do.
Thank you. And clean slate is really powerful. I
Very.
use it every week
Yeah.
with Migs.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, it's a phenomenal. Alan Walter, who wrote All the Technology, said that if a person just used the clean slate process on themselves, because you can do it on yourself, and did it once a week, that your intelligence would soar through the roof after a year, just from cleaning off your thoughts, your preconceived ideas, your limiting beliefs about the thing you want more of.
Thank you, Ceil. So number 3, how does self-worth impact financial success? And what steps do you recommend to align the two?
Okay, so I missed a word. How does
Self-worth.
Oh, self-worth? Oh, okay. So I should know this by heart. And I want you to know my answers are not scripted. This is off the cuff. I was aware of the questions, but I don't like to give scripted answers because they're different every day. But how does self-worth? Well, what you think about yourself is directly tied to the amount of money you make. I've always heard that, but I never realized that until as long as I've been in the subject, you're going to laugh, but we taught a course, we've been teaching a course for a year now called Redefine Your Self-Worth. And very eye-opening, because your self-worth is connected to you recognizing not everybody else's abilities, not everybody else's skills, but you recognizing how valuable you are in your skills and your abilities now, and appreciating them. You know, I would like to ask you, and you can speak out loud since one of you are driving, were you taught growing up, were you taught to say thank you? And were you taught to show appreciation to other people for things that people did for you? Were you taught that? Just say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's part of having good people skills. But how many of you who was taught that it's okay to be like little boy blue, blow your horn, that, wow, I do this really well. Wow, I just accomplished this. You know, how many of were you taught that? I mean, because our parents weren't trained to do that. Not that they were bad people, they just weren't trained. So were you taught that, Lana?
Well, it was okay to say that I was good. I think
No,
so.
that's so great. That's great. Because most people weren't, but to really appreciate all your skills, all the things you do, what you know, how much you've learned, just simple things. Like I remember when I was about probably 8 or 9 years old, you know, I grew up in a small town of 3,000 people, very rural area. And I would go to the city swimming pool as many times as my parents could afford it. And I remember my mother would not let me go, we called it in the deep end, until I could swim the length of the pool, all the way over there and all the way back. And so I would practice and practice and practice and practice, you know, because she wanted to make sure that I wouldn't drown, right? Even though there were lifeguards. And so, anyway, I practiced and practiced and practiced. I couldn't wait to go over into the area where it was deep. So, but once I accomplished that, I just remember feeling so happy and excited. And this, you're going to laugh. The same thing with learning how to tie my shoelaces at 5. I didn't learn till I went to kindergarten. And I remember thinking as a little girl, like, oh my God. I mean, I couldn't articulate it because I didn't know the words, but how free I felt. Like I did not have to wait on anyone to tie my shoes so I could get outside. You know, I could dress myself, but so those are things, it starts from things that little all the way up to the big thing, because it takes a lot of little things to be great in something. So it's very important, because if you validate and really appreciate all the things that's great about yourself, even if it's just being naturally friendly. I've always been naturally friendly. And I had a coach one day said, you know, do you know what that's worth? And I was like, he got mad at me. I said, I've always been that way. I think I was born that way. And he said, not everybody's like that. Not everybody has that skill. And I was just like, well, that's easy. So you know, that's a skill, because if you look, not everybody's like that. So I would encourage you guys to write down all the things you can appreciate about yourself, all the things you've done, because that helps you hold a position around your self-worth, what you're worth, which is tied to how much money you make. That's it. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. You went away from me. Thank you, Ceil.
That was a long answer. I'm sorry, but very important one.
Yeah. And then number 4 here, around mindset and beliefs around money. Can you share a success story of someone who transformed their financial life through mindset work?
Someone who
Transformed
increased.
the someone that really succeeded in transforming their
Oh,
financial life through mindset work.
so in 2010, after Alan died, because I've been carrying his legacy forward ever since, I taught my first course over in Mexico. And there was a guy there. He's actually on my staff now. And he worked for a computer company in the United States, in Texas, actually, where I used to live, Plano, Texas. And so I'll make it real quick. He was making, I don't know, I think he was making 30,000. I don't know what he's making, but he was working for Dell Computer at the time. And Dell's is a big company. So he said, I really want to learn this technology. I'm really interested in what you do. I said, who you work for? He said, Dell Computer. I said, in Plano? He said, they're in Plano, Texas. He said, yeah. And I said, have you ever thought about transferring and coming to Texas and being closer to the ranch, which is where we're housed at? He just looked at me and he said, no, because he had no children and he had just gotten married. I'm like, are you good at, well, I asked him, one of the first things I asked him was, are you good at what you do? He said, yeah. And I said, what do you do? He said, I'm an engineer, computer engineer. I said, do they respect you at Dell? Are you well thought of? And he said, yeah. So I said, why don't you see if you can't transfer, get out of that country where you're at. My goodness, get in a country that's prosperous, that's doing well, get out of Mexico. So he actually did that and he came over here. And long story short, his income is close to 10 times of what he was making then. And he's a student and now he is on staff here and still works different company, because he started getting job offers and just making more money. So anyway, that's an example of someone that has studied some of the things we teach.
Thank you, Ceil. Now we move forward. Practical money strategies. How do you help high achievers or entrepreneurs overcome mental blocks around charging their worth?
Well, a lot of them, even though they're entrepreneurs and they're maybe really successful, like lots and lots and lots of money already, but they're stuck in the amount they're making. They kind of like hit a fixed ceiling. Again, I go back to their mindsets. I go back to, you know, what your comprehension of being wealthy or whatever the thing is they want to change. I still go back to the mindset. And if they've got a block there, I would run a special process on handling that block so they can get that kind of like processing basically helps you remove the block. So if there's a block there, think of it as a block. You can't get around it. So you need to pick it up and move it out of the way. So again, that goes back to your mindset, your thoughts, your moods. So, and find out what they want. They may have some fear of being really successful. I know one time I asked one of our clients, this was several years ago, I was like, what's likely to happen if you were to become very wealthy? And he looked and he came back to me and he said, I'm afraid I would do something that would ruin my reputation. And with his family. So see, there's some of those fears that people naturally run into that a lot of times they don't even know they're mentally got that going on inside of them till they look at it.
Thank you, Ceil. I've recognized some of that.
Yeah.
Then 2 questions around leadership and money. First, how does leadership mindset influence financial decision making in business?
How does leadership
Mindset
mindset
influence financial decision making in business?
Well, I think you have to, as a leader, I think you have to educate yourself and get different viewpoints around money and how to invest it, how to get returns. You know, like I didn't know anything about cash flow or getting out of the rat race or making money work for you until I met Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Blair were working with the owner of the company, Alan Walter, before because I was his executive communicator before I started working with him. And then when he died, because they knew me and they know the technology, they continue working with me. But just educating yourself, like cash flow, rich dad, poor dad, how to make money work for you. That's really, really important to help you start to lead in the area. You've got to do things differently than some of the things that I learned growing up, even though we were not well off at all. And even though my dad, to the day he died, was so worried about money, you could see the worry lines on his forehead. I have them too. I watched him. And so I've always been kind of worried about money. I'm very much like him, but you know, you go back to the mindset and you look at, like, one of the things I learned from him is I have a very strong work ethic. I mean, my parents did great. They also did the best they could do with the knowledge that they had. So I'm not mad at them or anything, but it's worth inspecting if you want to have a different life. So, but educating yourself around money, take it gradiently, do something you can win with. I tell people all the time, you know, have you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Rich Woman? Get the book, read it. You'll have a different mindset. I finally understood why, when you make certain investments, why you get tax breaks. I never understood that before. I understand it now.
Thank you, Ceil. And one last in leadership and money. How can leaders foster a healthy money mindset within their teams or organizations? Well, you are one of them, right? So how do you do it?
So one of the things that I use, we have what we call a financial profile. And it's a profile that has 100 questions that you answer. And the answers are yes, no, maybe. It's very simple. Yes, no, maybe. And basically, it will graft. There are 6 abilities that you need in order to create wealth. And it will graft you and show if you're based on your mindset, if you're not doing well, if you're kind of doing so, if you're really winning. Because out of the 6 abilities, you might be winning in some, but there may be some where you're losing. So that place where you're losing is going to affect those where you're winning. So, but it's not a good or bad or right or wrong analysis. It's just so that it identifies where you're at, so that then as a coach, I can sit down and ask you questions around, why is this way up here where you're really winning? What are you doing? And then why is this low? Why are you not winning this here? And we can pinpoint it, ask you questions, and then you can understand it and release your attention from it and start to move up and start to win. So that's a major tool. And you can do that on yourself, or you can do that with a team of people. And it's kind of like putting everything in a soup pot, mixing it all up and see what's your overall score together. So that's 2 tools that I use. It's been very, very helpful.
Thank you, Ceil. And then we have 2 questions around personal insights. What books, tools, or resources do you recommend for someone wanting to improve their financial mindset? I think you already said Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Kim Kiyosaki wrote Rich Woman, which I love because she gives a cute little example of how she bought her first house and how careful she was and how much it cash flowed. I love both books. To get some of the, yeah, so that's the first thing those are the top two books that I go to learn about money. But I want to have time and let them ask a question if they have a question.
But I have one more question there. How do you stay motivated and disciplined in your own financial growth?
Well, I have goals. Obviously, I have an annual goal, and I'm actually doing what I really love to do, which is helping others be the best they can be. So since I have found the thing that is my purpose and my passion, it doesn't feel like work to me. Now, there are some pieces in my job and running my company that's work, okay, that I don't like because I'm not good at it. Those are things that the CEO does, okay? But I'm also getting educated in those areas so that I'm not so stupid in the areas, but as a coach and using what I was trained to do, which is helping others, that's how I stay motivated because I don't really need to be motivated. I mean, I'm doing this on a Sunday morning. Why? Because it's the best day that works and I love what I do. So that's here I am.
And I can say one more thing, Ceil, around that. You care for people. That's why you do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're
Lena,
welcome.
and what was her name sitting with you? Do you have any questions?
Well, I have one question. If you know all these things, how to change your mind, and you have not had family, and still you just reach one level and you don't get above it with the money mindset or the money. How should you change it?
So if you know all the things that I said and you've reached a
Yeah,
level,
You're
and that's
frozen,
the roof.
Lena.
You never come up over the roof.
I would,
Do you hear me?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Well, I've got something similar going on in my company. Like we have different goals, right? Different goals we want to achieve, whether it's number of people, whether it's financial, just that you do when you're running a business. So, I've been focusing my attention, my whole team's focusing our attention on it because I've been stuck in one spot for more than a year, for more than 2 years. So I really, really focused on it last year and invested and did some different things in the marketing area. Well, what happened as a result of that, it increased by 10%. So my needle moved toward going up. Does that make sense? So I finally moved the needle, what I call the needle, 10%. So I'm headed in the right direction. I've gotten unstuck, not as much as I want to, but I think you have to, what I've seen work is you have to process the area. Like and I'm just going to tell you this, the book that I wrote, The Fire Within, has 8 processes in it that you can use. Some of those processes I use in my professional sessions. Okay. So that people pay me money for. And so Dr. Jeff Crippen and I co-authored a book. He's my CEO. And so because one of my goals is to help as many people as I can get what they want in life. And so we wrote a book that if you just do the ebook, it's $5 so that I could reach third world countries and countries all over the world to help as many people as I can for $5. get those processes in their hands and start to make more changes. So the only way I see that it changes anything is by doing something differently, run a process on it, and think outside the box. It sounds like there's a box there you're in. Does that resonate to you? You got to do something different.
Yeah. Just to
So
find out
do what?
just find out what I should do different.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, do it gradiently. Do it gradiently. I mean, like one year we spent more money than I've ever spent, 30,000, over 30,000 with the marketing, in the marketing area, taking a class. Did it get me where I wanted to be? No, not in that one year. But did it start a trend? Yes, we started trending up. So I'm not there yet, but we're moving the needle. Does that make the book hopefully will help?
What's
Because
the name of the book?
you want to
I
show her that?
publish it. I
Yeah,
publish it in the group.
yeah, The Fire Within, and there's a
I can share. I can actually share
yeah.
because we have. Are you okay with running a bit over, Ceil?
I'm okay. I want to make sure they're okay.
Yeah, we're okay. We're
Okay.
This is the book.
So it's The Fire Within. If you order through here, you can get it for $5. If you go through Amazon, you're not going to get that $5 thing because that is in our funnel type of, that's in our funnel on my webpage. Okay. So you can have it for $5 and you'll get 8 processes in the book. So I would suggest reading that and using those processes. You don't have to have a partner to use them. Use the processes. The clean slate process that I mentioned is in that book.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, Ceil, I'm gonna run a book study around it.
Yeah,
Starting soon.
Inger is going to do a book study on this, each chapter. And Inger has taken one of our bigger courses called Life Enhancement. It was 5-day course, 5 hours a day. And she took that a couple of years ago because so she's got even more processes than what the book offers, but she's going to do a book study on The Fire Within. And so that might be something you'd be interested in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any
So-
other questions?
Not at the moment, I think. It will probably come when you have finished the meeting.
So should we also go in and show the financial profiles?
Yeah, I
here?
want to show you one other tool that is so enlightening. So there's one other tool. It's more expensive than the $5 one. I was really wanting to get the $5 book in your hands because it's the best, the most for your money. Okay. So, and that book is also on Audible, but it's not $5, but it's available. The Fire Within on Audible. It's available in paperback, but to get the cheapest, which is an ebook, is on the website for what we're showing you today. But there's a graph called the financial profile. And this is 50 years of research by Alan Walter. Tried, tested. It's over 250,000 clients that he pulled all this information from. And basically, it's got 100 questions. You just answer yes, no, or maybe. So if you're not winning in the area, basically in your yellow zone, it's just think of this as a traffic light. In the red, you're stopped. It means you're not getting what you want. In the yellow, kind of so-so, cautious. In the green, you're getting what you want in the financial area. So this financial profile, we do it for individuals and then we do it for teams as well. Like businesses have hired me to come in and do the whole entire team and meld all their scores together and sit down and meet so that they can see that if they keep doing what they're doing, thinking the way they're thinking, these are the results because it will show you your future success potential based on your mindset. These are all skills and abilities that you naturally have innately inside you. It's just something went off and they're not being used to your full capacity. So that sells for $97. You fill it out, and then it comes with a one-on-one with me. I sit down and I go over it online on Zoom, unless you want to come here at the ranch. You're welcome to come here and sit down with me. But and that is on our web. That is the link for that. Again, it's $97, and we would do a one-on-one and go over that so I can pinpoint and ask you some questions on and explain to you why something's red, why something's green, so that you can adjust it and hopefully move forward. So that's the second thing that's available that's very, very enlightening.
Okay, thank you.
And just the 60-minute session is worth the while. You need that actually.
She's Inger's done that. So
Yeah.
So
So
I just did, there was a company over in Mexico. There's a guy that's trained, he's one of our promoters, and he called me and he said, I told them you were Robert Kiyosaki's coach, and I sold a package with me, but he said, I told them you were the coach, and that if they bought the financial profile, you would go over it with them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how many did you sell? 17. So I'm like, and they're all business people. I'm like, oh my God, because that's like 17 hours of work, right? On my calendar. And I'm like, oh my God. It was very, how do I say? I was really honored. I freaked out a little bit. And then I said, don't sell any more. I have other appointments. And he sold 10 more before I could tell him that. But I tell you that because these were some successful people. And they were a lot of small business owners. But after they did that financial profile, I mean, several of them like, oh my gosh, I've been stuck here for years. And so, but they got what they needed just by seeing what happened to their ability to investigate, what happened to their ability to be really, really curious, what happened to their ability to create wealth. And so just by me asking you certain questions again, that's been tried, tested, in a very stable datum. That was some of the results. So thank you so much, ladies, for dialing in and joining us. And Inger, thank you so much for being such a great host. And again, Inger has a lot of knowledge. She's taken, she did 3 months of Life by Design coaching program with us recently this year. And then she took the Life Enhancement course, which has a lot of processes on it. So this woman knows, she knows things. She knows how to make you better.
Much.
So thank you. Lovely to meet you all.
The same.
Thank you, Ceil.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Please let me know how you do. I hope this helped and you found it valuable.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much. Thank you, Inger.
Thank you, Ceil.